Buckle up, petrol heads. We are back for another Car Chronicles daily automotive news blink. I'm your host, Justin Rambo, and let's get right back into it. It's a wild ride in the auto world. Right then, you lot. It seems like every day there's a new headline about electric dreams, horsepower wars, and enough automotive drama to rival a Fast and Furious flick. We've got Chinese EVs bursting into flames, Honda dropping a hybrid bombshell, and BYD, well, they're off conquering the world, one electric car at a time. So, strap yourselves in, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. EV fires in the East. Are we playing with fire? Now, I'm all for a bit of electric excitement, but even I have to admit, seeing those EVs go up in smoke in China is a bit worrying. It's like watching a robot apocalypse movie, only with less Arnold Schwarzenegger and more lithium-ion batteries. Are these isolated incidents, or is there something more sinister at play? One thing's for sure, nobody wants to end up as a human marshmallow in their electric chariot. Safety first, lads. These fires raise serious questions about quality control and the long-term reliability of these newfangled electric contraptions. We've seen it before with new technologies, teething problems they call them, but when it comes to cars, those teething problems can be downright dangerous. It's a reminder that the road to an electric future might be paved with a few burnt-out batteries. Of course, the traditional car makers aren't exactly saints when it comes to reliability. Remember those Ford Pintos with a nasty habit of exploding? Or the endless electrical gremlins that plagued British cars for decades? But with EVs, there's a whole new level of complexity, and with that comes new challenges. Let's hope they can sort it out before we're all driving around in fire hazard hatchbacks. The bottom line is this: EVs need to be held to the same safety standards as any other car on the road. No shortcuts, no excuses. And if they can't guarantee that, well, maybe they're not quite ready for prime time. BYD's electric empire. From batteries to global domination. While some car makers are still figuring out this whole electric thing, BYD has gone and built an electric empire. They started out making batteries, but now they're churning out electric cars and buses faster than, you can say, Tesla who? They've got a workforce bigger than most small countries, and they're not afraid to use it to dominate the EV market. Move over, Elon. There's a new sheriff in town. What's the secret to their success? Well, for one thing, they're not afraid to embrace vertical integration. They make their own batteries, their own motors, even their own microchips. This gives them a level of control over their supply chain that other car makers can only dream of. It's like they've cracked the code to building affordable, high-quality EVs at scale. But it's not just about size and efficiency. BYD is also investing heavily in research and development. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of EV technology with innovations like their Blade battery, which is said to be safer and more energy dense than traditional lithium-ion batteries. They're not just following the pack, they're leading the charge. So, watch out. World, BYD is coming for you. They've got the ambition, the resources, and the technology to become a major player in the global automotive industry. And who knows, they might just give those established car giants a run for their money in the process. China's EV power play, keeping the tech at home. Now, China isn't just content with building EVs. They want to control the entire supply chain. They're investing heavily in domestic production of batteries, motors, and all the other bits and pieces that go into making an electric car. It's a bold move, but it's not hard to see why they're doing it. They've learned from the West. And and they're not about to be left behind in the race for electric dominance. This move towards EV tech nationalism has got the rest of the world a bit worried. They're used to relying on China for cheap manufacturing, but what happens when China decides to keep all the good stuff for themselves? It's a wake-up call for governments and car makers alike. The future of the auto industry is heavily electric, and China is determined to be in the driver's seat. Of course, it's not all bad news. China's focus on EV technology is driving innovation and competition, which is good for consumers in the long run. And who knows, maybe it will even spur other countries to up their game and invest more in their own domestic EV industries. A little bit of healthy competition never hurt anyone, right? One thing's for sure, China's EV power play is shaking up the global automotive industry. The old order is being challenged, and the race is on to see who will emerge as the dominant force in the electric future. Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealerships in disarray. A real head-scratcher right then. Let's talk about this whole Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealership debacle. It seems like someone over at Stellantis, the company that owns these iconic American brands, forgot to read the memo on how to run a dealership network. They've gone and upset their dealers, and now everyone's at each other's throats. It's like a family feud, only with more horsepower and legal paperwork. The details are a bit murky, but it seems like Stellantis wants to streamline their dealership network and move towards more online sales. Now, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. After all, everyone's buying everything online these days, right? But the problem is, they've gone about it in a way that's alienated their dealers, who are understandably miffed about being left out in the cold. This whole mess is a classic example of how not to manage a major business transition. You got to bring your partners along for the ride, not just spring it on them at the last minute and expect them to be happy about it. Stellantis needs to get its act together and sort this out quickly before they do any more damage to these iconic American brands. In the meantime, if you're in the market for a new Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, you might want to hold off for a bit until the dust settles. You don't want to get caught in the crossfire of this automotive family feud. Next up, that VW transmission quirk. Let's talk about VW's recent transmission switch in the Taos. They've ditched the old dual clutch automatic in favor of a more conventional 8-speed automatic, and you know what? It's actually a good move. The old transmission was a bit jerky and unresponsive, especially at low speeds. This new one is much smoother and more refined, which makes the Taos a much more pleasant car to drive in everyday traffic. It just goes to show, even car makers make mistakes sometimes. But the important thing is to learn from those mistakes and make things right. And in this case, VW has definitely done that. The Taos is now a much more well-rounded car, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it climbing the sales charts in the coming months. So there you have it, from high-octane car chases to subtle transmission tweaks. The world of automobiles is never dull. The road ahead. What's next in the ever-changing auto landscape? We've covered a lot of ground today, from exploding EVs to Stellantis, disarray, and everything in between. The automotive industry is in a state of flux, with new technologies, new players, and new challenges emerging all the time. It's a fascinating time to be a car enthusiast, but it's also a time of great uncertainty. What will the cars of the future look like? Will they be electric, autonomous, or something else entirely? Will we still be driving ourselves, or will our cars be doing the driving for us? These are just some of the questions that are keeping automotive engineers and designers up at night. One thing's for sure, the road ahead is going to be anything but boring. So buckle up, folks, and get ready for the ride of your life. The future of the automobile is upon us, and it's going to be one heck of a journey. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a date with a certain Honda hybrid that's calling my name. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel, and your mind open to the possibilities. I'm your host, Justin Rambo. Peace.